Is this what my life has come to? I'm sitting here in this ridiculous cafe sipping on a macchiato and trying not to think about how much better my life would be if someone was sitting across from me instead of this bleeding heart idiot. And that stupid song is still playing. It's like they're trying to make me cry or something. I know it sounds dramatic, but honestly, the truth can be far more disturbing than any fiction. My name is Sienna Blake, and I guess this is my story. It all started when my husband, Marcus, told me he needed some time away. I need to find myself, he said. No, actually, he didn't say find myself. He literally said those words, find myself. How pretentious can you get? Like I wasn't enough for him anymore. I wasn't his vibe. Okay, cool. I remember looking him in the eyes. Him in his stupid Patagonia fleece and me in my $60 silk pajamas I got from H&M. Because who the hell can afford real silk these days? And I asked him the most important question of our marriage. Are we still doing the full Montague on this? You know, because in our relationship, unless we agreed to take a break together, the answer was always yes. That's why he had a picture of an eggplant emoji saved on his phone with the caption S. So I knew exactly what he meant. He always tried to play it cool by pretending to be confused. But then after a few moments of silence, he would eventually relent and send me a picture of something that looked like this. But this time he just stared at me awkwardly and said, I don't know. I haven't really been thinking about that. And I could tell by the look in his eyes that he wasn't bullshitting me. And then he left. Now, before anyone starts judging, let me clarify that this is one of the perks of being married to a Silicon Valley bro. For the last 5 years, Marcus had been working on an app that was basically like Tinder, but for business investors. So because of his startup, he had access to a ton of venture capitalists and angel investors, many of whom were just itching for an opportunity to mingle with a hot young entrepreneur and his even hotter wife. And thanks to my killer Instagram game, which I spent countless hours cultivating, I was the most sought after arm candy in the valley. Let's just say if my husband wanted to take a break, it was never hard to find someone else to fill the void. But this time, things felt different. I mean, after I stopped crying, I felt this overwhelming sense of determination. I was done being a trophy wife, and I had a score to settle. And you know what happens to be my particular kryptonite? Revenge. I've always loved a good revenge fantasy. Just give me a bad guy and I'll come up with 37 ways they can get theirs. You see, while I might have been a trophy wife, I also knew that there was no way Marcus could afford his 6-figure lifestyle without me. I was the one who landed the sponsorship deals. I was the face of the brand. The reason why I put up with his bullshit for so long was because I believed that we had something special. But clearly he felt differently. Fine. If he wanted to play games, I could do that. I was the queen of games. The first thing I did was, I dusted off my laptop. Yes, I have a laptop. I don't just sit around on my ass all day waiting for Marcus to bring home the bacon. I'm a hustler, dude, and I spend a few hours updating my LinkedIn profile and browsing job postings. Then I sent out resumes and applications until my fingers bled. After all, I had student loans to pay back and rent to pay. Unlike Marcus, I couldn't just rely on daddy's money forever. Then I went to work on the next part of my plan. First, I hired a personal trainer. Because although Marcus might not want me anymore, I sure as hell did. And if he wanted to break up, then fine. But he wasn't breaking up with a fat, lazy, washed-up Instagram girl. No, sir. This was me, taking control. Taking charge back my body and becoming the strongest, sexiest version of myself possible. Next, I called my plastic surgeon, Dr. Kim, and scheduled a little chat. To be honest, by the time Marcus and I got married, I was already a bit of a fix. I had some work done on my eyes and nose early on, but most of the other stuff I left for later. You see, I believe that plastic surgery should be used sparingly. It's sort of like using the nuclear option. You only pull it when you really need it. But since I was going through a divorce, so I figured it was time to go big or go home. So I booked a boob job, a Brazilian butt lift liposuction, a facelift and eyelid surgery. All I needed was a good book and a Netflix account. And I could have single-handedly brought down the entire medical tourism industry. But listen, I'm not ashamed. If anything, I'm proud. There's nothing wrong with wanting to feel your best. And if you have the means, why not use them? We live in a society that worships youth and beauty. And if the only way to compete is to conform to these ridiculous standards, then by God, I'm gonna win. At this point I was starting to feel pretty so I decided to go all in. Next, I enrolled in acting classes, because I realized that all these hot Silicon Valley guys were really just overgrown man-children who cared about 2 things, money and porn. So why not give them what they wanted? Plus, if I could master the art of acting, then I could land bigger and better sponsorship deals. It was a win-win. And then I started seeing a therapist because, I had some unresolved issues. Well, actually, I was lying. I didn't have any unresolved issues. I just wanted to learn how to play the crazy card so I could use it against Marcus in court. Finally, I got a lawyer and filed for divorce. To be honest, I'm not even sure what I was expecting. Maybe I thought he'd beg me to stay. Maybe I hoped he'd try to reconcile. But Marcus was having none of it. As soon as he heard that I was going for the jugular, he retaliated by filing for sole custody of Scout. And to make matters worse, he knew that I hadn't been a great husband over the last few years. And in a fit of poetic justice, he dug up pictures of me partying with the boys, drinking heavily, and smoking weed. In fact, he even found a video of me snorting something white off of a stripper pole while wearing a fur bikini and cowboy boots. And then he dropped the bomb. I was pregnant. Yeah. Turns out I had morning sickness for nothing. Turns out I was pregnant. And then it hit me. Oh, my God. I am officially a villain. I had betrayed the one rule of the Montague. And now I had to decide whether I wanted to raise a child or get an abortion. I mean, obviously, I couldn't keep the baby. I had too much work to do. Too many places to be. I couldn't let some random sperm donor get in the way of my plans. So I called my OBGYN, Dr. Roberts, and made an appointment. To be honest, I was kind of relieved. I mean, getting an abortion isn't easy, but it was a relief to know that I wouldn't have to deal with being pregnant. And Dr. Roberts was amazing. She made the whole process as smooth and painless as possible, and in no time at all, it was done. As I walked out of the clinic, I felt this sense of clarity come over me. I was free. Now, I could focus on the most important task of all, destroying Marcus. To be continued.